Welcome to the CAD Corporation Drafting Academy Autodesk AutoCAD PNID training. This is a software package that will assist with those who are doing piping drafting in the N5 level. This will just give you better tools in order to get quicker results. I always say that this is the package you use to work smarter. I will be leading you through the next couple of parts within the software. I hope that you enjoy learning as much as I enjoy teaching this software. So over here I've got PNID open. This version is 2015. You'll notice that the material that has been given to you is 2013, and the reason for this is that Autodesk don't release new material every year for all of their software packages. They normally do it within every 2 to 3 years, depending on some of the changes that have been done. So you'll see that when I open up certain projects that we'll have to go through a step before we can start working within it. Don't worry, I will explain to you how you will achieve that. Right, so when you open up PNID, this is how it will look. You've got a project manager on the left hand side, and your main screen right in the middle. Okay. First thing we're going to do is look at how do we open up a project. So over here on the project manager at the top left, you see it says trial. I'm going to select over there, and it brings down a list of all the recent projects that I've worked in, and allows me to create a new project as well as open a project. So I'm going to select open a project. I've saved mine material on my desktop. Yours will most likely be, if you saved it directly from the class files, it will be saved under your C drive, so just look out for that. The project that I'm going to be opening up over here is called Create a New PNID Drawing. There we go. You'll notice that right at the bottom of the list there is a file that's called project. It is an XML document. That is the file that needs to be read in order to open up a project. So I'm going to open that up. You have to give it a few seconds as it loads all your ribbons as well. Right, this is the step that I spoke about. This is what you need to do when this happens. The reason for this is because you're opening up a 2013 version file in a 2015. It needs to be migrated to be able to be read within this new version. Otherwise you use all of its intelligence. So we're going to click on next. Over here you can choose to create a backup of all your previous files, or you can untick it to save you a bit of time. I'm going to do that. You can decide. So we just have to wait a few seconds for the migration to finish up. It's basically taking all of the files within the project and it's merging it to become a 2015 file. There's no way to work around this. Right, I'm going to click on finish now. Over here, this is what we're looking at. We've got now our ribbons at the top. We've got on the left hand side, notice how it says create a new PNID. Right, so it shows the name of the project, and underneath that it's still busy loading, so you just have to give it a few minutes because it's loading all of the different drawings that belong to this project, but also all the different ribbons, and you'll see why it takes a bit of time to do that. There's actually a very good reason for that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand PNID drawings. I'm going to right click on PID 001. You can also double click on it, it will open it up. So I select open. Okay, this is something that was added in 2014 where it runs an automatic validation when you open up a drawing. You can review it later. For now it's not important, we'll look at validation later. That is just busy loading. Right, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to change my background to a darker theme so that we can see it a bit better. That's better, a lot clearer for your eyes. Right, you'll notice that my ribbons as well as my tool palette on the right hand side has got a lot of 3D elements, and this is because I'm now in the 3D workspace, 3D piping, so I need to move over to a PNID workspace. At the bottom of your screen you'll notice there's a little gear. I want you to click on that and select PID PIP. We always generally use PID PIP because it has the symbols that are most close to the ones that we use within South African Standard. Okay, it's not to say the other ones are wrong, but these have the most similar ones that we have. So on the right hand side now you can see we've got quite a few different tools and we are in a more 2D interface. Right, to create a new PNID drawing, all we have to do is I'm going to right click on PID drawings, new drawing. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call this one PID 002. We can put in a different author. You see how it's picked up mine because of my computer name. You can accept the defaults, that's fine. Click OK. Notice how it takes you first to paper space before it takes you into model space. Now there's two things you can do. You can either to go to model space, you can hover over the name of the file at the top on the tab and move over to model space. But alternatively, you can switch on that you can select it at the bottom. Automatically on PNID it is switched off. So if you go to your main menu, into options, you can go to display, and at the bottom over here where it says layout elements, you'll see it says display layout and model tabs. Just tick that on and click OK, and you'll notice how now it's added down here at the bottom right. I can now switch between paper space and model down there. So you can, as you wish, you can select and have it at the bottom. Alternatively, you can just hover over the name and select between the two. So very easy to create a new PNID, as you can see. Right, so I'm going to apologize for that. I'm going to now right click on PNID 2 and I'm going to select properties. I want to look at some of the properties of this drawing. Notice there it's got a DWG number, a DWG title, and a drawing area, an author, and a description. Under description, we're going to put there new PNID drawing. And click OK. Now we want to create a different folder within our PNID drawings. And the reason you do this is especially if you want to have multiple revisions. In this case, we're going to right click on PNID drawings and we're going to select new folder, and we're going to call this area 10 and click OK. We're going to create a second folder. We're going to call it area 20. As you can see, very easy to do that. Hey? It's not a difficult exercise. Right, we're going to right click on PID drawing, and now we're going to select copy drawing to project. Notice how it takes us into the correct project, except for there are multiple drawings there as well. Make sure that you're in the correct. So you're going to go into your class files and you're going to go into the same project name, which was create a new PNID drawing, into PIDWG. And there we have area 10 and area 20. I'm going to see what's inside those folders. In area 20 we've got PID and PID04, I want you to hold Control and select both of them and open. So here you're seeing how we can also open drawings from the back end, and we can select multiple drawings to open up. Click OK once it's been accepted. Notice it's been added to our list at the bottom. Right, so in this first exercise, we learned how to open up a project, we learned how to create a new drawing, we learned how to add drawings, and we learned how to add drawings, and we learned how to create our own little folders. We also learned how to change our workspace by clicking on the gear at the bottom. Right, you can now save and close these drawings. So both of them, close and save. Right, in this next exercise we are going to learn how to add equipment as well as nozzles. So we're going to go open up the project. This project is going to be called Equipment and Nozzles. So we track back one and we're going to scroll down. In our class files we select Equipment and Nozzles, select the project file and open. Right, just like previously, we have to go through the step of migrating it. So we click next, and I'm not going to back up my files. You can decide if you'd like to. Right, I'm going to select finish, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand PNID drawings, and I'm going to double click on PID002. I'm going to open that up. Wait for it to load. Right, and we're going to switch to model space, and don't forget to change to the correct workspace. Sometimes you'll see that it is on the correct workspace. It says PID PIP, but over here it shows all the 3D elements, and that is because on the project the last place would have been on 3D. So all you have to do is right click on the top there where it says tool palettes, right click and just select PID PIP. There we go, we have our 2D symbols back. Right, on our tool palette I want you to select equipment. And I want you to scroll down in your equipment until you see where it says vessels and miscellaneous vessel details. And I want you to select that vessel over there. Right, and I want you to place it more or less over here on the bottom. Notice it was very big, but now we can scale it to a smaller size. So I want you to scale it so that it looks more or less like that. And notice that automatically it asks us to put in a tag. So here we're starting to see a bit of the automation and some of the intelligence of PNID. I want you to make this tank number 004 and enter. Right. I'd like you to click on the tank or the vessel. Okay, sometimes when you have your first object it takes a bit of time for it to register it. So just give it a few seconds and it will come back to you in a moment. You'll notice that with some of the objects on PNID as well, you don't always have to do the step that we're about to do now. In a lot of cases it will automatically place a tag for you. In this case we're going to right click, so we selected it and we right click. And I want you to select annotate, and we're going to click on equipment tag, and I want you to click more or less somewhere above it over there. It should look like that. Okay, I want you to select the vessel. I want you to, using your AutoCAD tool, so you can, the easiest way is to type it, copy, and enter. I'm going to select the midpoint as my base point, and I'm just going to copy one to the right of it, like so, and then press escape. I just wanted 2. Okay, notice how it shows that it is TK004. You see that? I want you to select the new vessel that we've copied, right click, and select assign tag. Next to the number where it says 004, you'll see it says an N. It almost looks like the enter symbol. I want you to click on that. What that does is it gives you the next available tag that you can have. So basically, PNID does not allow you to duplicate unless that is what you want to do. So we're going to click on assign, and it reflects our text at the top. Okay, you're seeing some of the automation there. I want you to go back to the equipment on your tool palette, and I want you to select the open tank, and we are going to place this tank somewhere above over here. I want you to click for a starting point, and for the scale factor we are going to make it 10. Okay, if it doesn't work, don't worry, we can use our mouse. So like so, make it about that big, and we are going to tag this by clicking on that N again. Gives us the next number, which is 006, and here we're going to click on place annotation after assigning tag. So click assign, and let's place it below it. Alright, now we're going to go add a pump. So in our equipment in our tool palette, I want you to scroll up to the top, and you'll notice we have a couple of pumps. One that I added myself, don't worry about that. But I want you to select horizontal centrifugal pump, and I want you to place it more or less over there. And this pump, we're going to give it the tag of 005 and enter. This automatically wants to place your tag. I want you to place it just above, like so. We have it above that nozzle over there, so let's click on the grip in the middle and let's just move it to the side a little. Right, so we have 2 vessels, we have an open tank and a pump. I want you now to go back to your equipment, and this time we're going to select a heat exchanger. I want you to select, let me just have a look in our book, and we're going to select the BEM type, which will be that one over there, and I want you to place it more or less over there. We're going to give this one the number 005, and I want you to place it right in the center of the exchanger. Okay, as to where do you put your tag, well, that will depend on neatness and of course what your company wants and what's their standard. Right, we're going to go add some nozzles. So I want you to click on the fittings tab on your tool palette, and you'll notice over here at the top we've got a flange connection which looks very similar to a nozzle, but nozzles will be right at the bottom, so just be careful that you don't get confused with the two. I want you to select it, and I want you to click on tank 004 somewhere here at the top, and click again. Notice now you can select the orientation. We're going to go right across at 0 degrees and click. Right, we now managed to put in a nozzle. Yeah, later on we're going to see different ways to do that. There's actually some very nice ways to do that. Let's go put a flange nozzle. So we're going to select flange nozzle, and at the bottom of the same tank I want you to click again. You'll see that I've got my nearest snap on. It would be a good idea for you to switch that snap on. And and orientation. There we go. But if you go and hover over the nozzle, it will tell you it's a single line nozzle and it's tagged N1. See, automatically it tags it. So if I hover on the one underneath, it is tagged N2. So automatically in the order that you place it, it will tag it for you. Let's go place some tags for these. So let's select N1, right click, and we're going to say annotate, and we're going to click on tag, and I want you to place it somewhere above. Do the same for the bottom, select it, right click, annotate, tag below it. Here we go. You're starting to see the value in this so far, hey? How you don't have to go and type out text, and I always shy away from that, and I wouldn't allow it, purely because if changes happen, then it's easier for you to change it without having to go into all of your text blocks. Right, now we're going to look at quickly editing one of our tanks. So I want you to select your vessel 005, tank 005, right click, and we're going to select edit PNID objects block. Notice it opens it up in block editor. All we're going to do now is we're going to type line, and I just want you to create a line somewhere more or less the top over here. I'm going to use my override and select nearest, and I'm going to click more or less there at the top, create a line that is perpendicular like so, and then I also want to create a circle, place it in between the two, so I override again mid between 2 points, and create a circle that fits like so. Once you have that line and that circle in, you can close block editor, let's save the changes, and it's still a tank. It's just that you've edited this one only. It doesn't have any effect on the one on the left. Right, so I want you to close and save this drawing. Right, in the next exercise we're going to be looking at placing lines and inline components. So the project that we're going to be opening up this time is called Place Lines and Inline Components. So if you scroll down to the bottom in your class files, you'll see Place Lines and Inline Components. Select the project and open. Okay, you know the drill. We have to migrate it first, so click on next. Create a backup or don't, up to you. Next. Right, so once we've migrated that, we can now begin this project, Place Lines and Inline Components. We're going to open up, expand PNID drawings, and we're going to double click on PID 002. It's going to run that validation as it did previously. That's why it takes a bit of time to load. Don't fret, eventually it will open and load. This should look quite familiar, just maybe smaller compared to how you did it. Remember, we need to right click on tool palettes at the top and go to PIP, so PNID PIP, and I want you to make lines your current tab. Okay, so here we have multiple kinds of lines, and this is where some of the really cool stuff begins to work within PNID. So I want you to select a primary line segment, zoom in, and starting up more or less over here at the top, I want you to click. Use your snap tracking to get it right in the center over there. Click again and click on your vessel, and notice, look what it does. Automatically it adds a nozzle for you. I want you to select primary line segment again, this time starting from more or less down here at the bottom of the vessel. We're going to click. Again, I'm going to track, click, and like so, and enter once you're done. And notice what it did. It's added a nozzle for you automatically again. So you shouldn't really have to be putting in your own nozzles unless you are putting in a closed nozzle, so perhaps for expansion. This is a blind flange. Right, so let's add a couple more lines from more or less here at the top. We can click over there to the middle over there. You see how I use my snap tracking? Ensure that you put it on. It works exactly the same way as AutoCAD. From this nozzle over here at the bottom of my heat exchanger, this is going to go more or less over there. Right, yours doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but always keep it to 90 degrees. But PNID forces you to do that anyway. This line is just going to be continued over there. And we're creating one more line that's going from the pump into that line. Right, I want you to select this line over here. So we're clicking on it. Note how it shows how it's connected. We're going to right click and we're going to select assign tag. Now this is where we're putting our line number tag. So first of all, we're going to select the 6-inch. Right, don't worry that it's in inches. This is something that you set up when you create a project. Here we're using projects, so depending on who sets it up, they set it as a inches project. Spec, we're going to select 1HSO1. It's a stainless steel. For pipeline group service, it's going to be CWS, cooling water system, supply, and the number, we're going to make it 001. Assign, and I want you to place it just above over there. I want you to go to this line over here by the pump. I want you to select it. Right click, assign tag, and this one we're going to also make 6 inches. 1HSO1 CWS, this time 002, and assign, and place it just above. Right, we can group pipeline segments. If you look at your screen, you'll see we've got line group, and we can select group, make group, edit group. We're going to select make group. It's asking us select source spline to group additional splines to. So I want you to select this bottom line first. Enter. Oopsie, one step I forgot. So make group, you select your main line. And now we're going to select this line and enter. Notice how now it becomes CWS 001. It groups those two lines together so that they are the same tag. In realism, that would never be the case because these would be two separate pipelines. But just as an example, they're showing you how you can do that if need be. If you were to select any one of these two now, so we're going to select this bottom one again, right click, assign tag, and we're going to change 001 to 1000. You can press escape, you're not re-putting it, but notice how it makes both of them that number. See how we don't have to edit the actual text. Right, we're going to go to the top of tank number 5, and I want you to select it. And we're going to right click, assign tag, size 6 inch. We're going to change the spec to carbon steel 150, which is at the bottom. It's going to be CWS, cooling water, and 1000. It's a different spec, so it's a different tag. If it tells you that it's got the same tagline, don't fret, click OK. That can happen in many cases. If it does, all we have to do is just change it to 2000. Right. So again, there it's showing you that you can't just duplicate unless you have a grouped line. Right, we're going to go and add a reducer now to our pipeline segment. So let's move to the top over here. You can place your annotation underneath and maybe a little to the left so it's out the way. And we're going to go to fittings on our tool palette, and I want you to select concentric reducer. I want you to click anywhere around here, and it will tell you that it is a 6x6 because that is what it reads at the moment. I want you to double click on that text over there and it opens up your annotation, and I want you to click where it says 6 and select 4 and click OK. Right, notice how it turns your reducer in the way that it is reduced. So automatically it will do that for you. And notice as well how our annotation over here shows that it's 4 on the left. If I click over here on the right hand side and I annotate pipeline tag and I place it over there, it will show you same spec, different size. Nice, eh? We're going to now select the reducer. Right, so again, with the reducer, it might take, again, it's the first time you're placing it in your drawing, so it might take a bit of time to load. Don't fret about that. In the next step, what we're going to be looking at is what happens when we erase a reducer. What happens to the line sizes? Because now you've got two different size lines. So how will this affect your actual line? So we're going to do that. We've selected the reducer, we're going to right click and we're going to say erase, and now it's going to ask you specify a size to continue. Right, we're going to select 6 inch and continue, and it changes this text back to 6 inch. Right, the next thing that we're going to add is a spec breaker. I want you to select non-engineering tab. And at the top over here where we have miscellaneous symbols, I want you to select segment breaker. I want you to click on that, and I want you to click on a point to put it on. Notice it shows you carbon steel 150. I want you to select the pipeline on the left hand side. I want you to right click, select assign tag, and we're going to change this to carbon steel 300. And click assign, and notice how it changes it over here, and it also changes at your spec break. Now this is where you have to be very careful. Notice on the right hand side it also changed it, hey? And this is because we put the spec break before we put after we put in this tag. So we need to erase this. Click on the segment again, right click, annotate, pipeline tag, paste it, and it should show the correct information. Okay, so don't forget that step. Right, now we're going to head over to the valves. So I want you to select valves, zoom out so that we are looking at the bottom part of this tank over here of the vessel. and we're going to select a gate valve. I want you to click on gate valve, and we're going to click more or less over here. Notice what it does is it automatically breaks the line for you, and it puts a code. So automatically it puts a code for you. Right, now you might decide this is not where we actually wanted to put it. It was supposed to go after the pump. So we click on it, select your middle grip, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to select nearest and select over there by my pump. Now it's moved it over there to the pump, and it's now broken the line. It's put my tag, but notice how now it's also added the size because my line has been tagged. So it actually draws its information from the line. Right. So to review again, if our lines have been tagged, we can always just hover over it and it shows us tag. It's got question marks. That means that it has not been tagged yet. It means that we would need to do that. So I want you to select it, right click and assign tag, and we're going to make this size 8-inch, spec, carbon steel 150, cooling water, and 3000. Place annotation after assign tag, click assign, and place it. Right, for the next exercise that we're going to be looking at, we are going to be looking at instruments and instrument lines. So the project, I want you to save and close this. And the project that we are going to open up is called Instruments and Instrument Lines. There we go. Select the project file at the bottom. Open it up as we expect the migration to occur. There we go. Click on next. Next. Right, click on finish. Allow it, give it time to load. And we're going to expand PNID drawing, and we're going to double click on PID 002 again. Wait for it to open up. Great, notice that our tool palette is on 3D again, so we right click on tool palettes and select PID PIP. That's better. Now you can zoom out. And now we're going to go to our Instruments tab on the right hand side in our tool palettes. And I want you to go to there where we have our tank 005, and you can see we have a glow valve. And I want you to select an Instruments restriction orifice. It's an orifice. Okay. Now, somewhere on the right of that, we're going to select a point. It shows us this tag. Notice that the type is FE, not orifice. FE stands for flow element, and that is what an orifice is. It's a perforated plate. For area, we're going to make it 10. And for the loop number, we're going to make it 005. We're going to select assign. I want you to click below first. Then I want you to move your mouse up and click above. Let's just neaten this up if you need to. And it looks like so. Notice how it also breaks a line for you. Alright, I want you to now, at the top of this list you'll see it says control valve. I want you to select control valve. Now yours might look different to mine. Yours in fact might ask first to select your body and actuator. If it does this, let's do this quickly. If not, right click and select change actuator and body. For the body, we're going to select gate valve on the left hand side. And for the actuator, we're going to select the piston actuator. So just need to find it. There we go. Click OK. Right, notice how it changes, how it looks. And we're going to go and zoom to our heat exchanger 005, and on this line we'll place it. Notice how it turns it for us, so it puts it in the correct orientation. All we need to do is put a tag, so we click below it. We're going to make this one's tag 10, area 10, CV 005, and click assign. Notice how it added that already. We can now, let's put it above, we can put it over there. Right. Right, we're going to look at where it says General Instruments. And this time we're going to click on Field Discrete Instrument. It's going to be this first one. I want you to click over there. And I want you to place it more or less over here where my mouse is. Right. The area is going to be 10. The type, I want you to type in TC. And the loop number 005. Assign tag. And we can remove these two. We don't actually need this for these exercises. I want you to select that instrument. Right, notice again, it's the first time that you're putting one of those, so it takes a bit of time to load it first. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be copying that one and creating a duplicate underneath it. Right, so we're going to be creating another one. Just give it a second to load. Yours might be quicker than mine, depending as well on your RAM of your computer. Right, so copy, and I want you to place one below, one to the left, and one over here more or less. And I want you to also place one above your heat exchanger like so. And press exit when you're done. Right, this one, we're going to double click on this field panel over here. We're going to right click and we're going to assign tag. And we're going to change TC to TI. Temperature indicator, and press escape. We're not placing anything. This one over here, we're going to select it, right click, assign tag, and we're calling it TS. Temperature switch, and escape. This one over here, we're going to select it as well, right click, assign tag, and this one we're going to make it TI, but we're going to make it 005 with an A and a sign. And right at the top, above our heat exchanger, we'll select that. Right click, assign tag, also TI, but 005B. Right, so we've got all of our instruments in. I want you to select lines again on your tool palette. Right, where we have TI005B, I want you to select, we are going to select under instrument lines, we're going to select leader, and I want you to select quadrants of the instrument and to your line, and that just attaches your instrument to your line. Right, we're going to do the same for the one at the bottom. So press spacebar to go to it quickly and select the line. Right, now we're going to select the pneumatic signal instrument line, and we're going to start in the middle of our piston, and I want you to select TC like so. And we're going to put a instrument supply line between TC05 and TS05. Now I want you to select this electric signal line, and we're going to start at the top here all the way around our heat exchanger and back this way, and it's going to go in line with that. So I use my extend as well, and we're going to click on spacebar to continue it. We're not finished yet, and it's going to be in line with that midpoint, so I do that. Oopsie. It's okay, it's not a problem, it is representation. I can always move this so that it is in line, but I'll leave it as is, it's fine. And that is how you add instrumentation lines. Okay, there's also different other ones that you can use. All your instrumentation lines do not carry tags because it's more representation for your CNI guys. Right, I want you to close and save this. We have reached the end of part 1 of PNID. Download part 2 in order for you to continue the course.